Hello everyone and welcome to the 100k budget fuel challenge. I don't have anything else to say, so let's get into it. 40 competitors joined, but only one can win. Multiple rounds on multiple different circuits, each presenting a distinct challenge. All to determine who is the fastest, but also at the same time most fuel-efficient car of them all. So, for round 1, we're gonna be racing at Watkins Glen. Fuel consumption set to 5x, 4 heats of 10, bottom 2 of each race is eliminated, or at least they are, but only if no one runs out of fuel in the said races. And so, with that clarified, let's get on with the races. So, for the first heat, we have Rosie Miranto, the Sigma Thruster, Tom the Cat, Jomnas Jomnani, Terra Hockeyzard, Roxy Leyland, Fancy Wreck, Halo, Vigilante SVT, and Dry Riser Inlet. So, let the races begin. Right away, Rosie Miranto tries to pull away from his competition, but it doesn't look like he is succeeding in doing that. In fact, despite not having the best start, it looks like the Sigma Thruster manages to easily catch up to him and overtake him. Or at least that's what it looked like from the replay camera. Either way, since he was unable to pull away, Rosie Miranto is now trying to hold off his competition. However, that does not stop Roxy Leyland, Dry Riser Inlet, and Vigilante SVT from overtaking him right away. And Fancy Wreck also manages to make it past the roadblock, just not as quickly as those three specifically. Either way, they are now trying to overtake the Sigma Thruster, which Dry Riser Inlet immediately succeeds in. And even though it wasn't as instant, the Aventime also manages to make it past the Sigma Thruster mobile. And following Roxy is the C3 Corvette and the AE86, which comes out of nowhere to overtake the Megane. While he is trying to battle the Aventime, it looks like the MX-5, the Golf, and the Super Beast all made it past Rosie Miranto's Alphard, with Tom the Cat now being the only one who's stuck behind it. He's in overtaking distance, trying to overtake Rosie Miranto, but it doesn't look like he is succeeding at the moment. And speaking of overtaking, that's what the Super Beast manages to successfully do on this section of the track, making it past the Sigma Thruster and now trying to gain back all the time he lost. With Jomnas Jomnani and Halo also trying to do the exact same overtaking maneuver. But while they are trying to do that, it looks like the Super Beast is already closing in the gap between Fancy Wreck and Roxy Leyland. Not only that, but it also looks like Dry Riser Inlet's at the very front of the grid, trying to pull away from everyone that's behind them, with Vigilante SVT being right behind in second. However, it doesn't look like the Vigilante 8 mobile is really able to catch back up to the C4 yet. Anyways, with them now being very close to each other, it looks like we'll be getting a three-way battle between Roxy, Fancy Wreck, and Terra. And Roxy seems to be the one that's coming out on top currently. While she is chilling, it looks like the Super Beast successfully closes in the gap between the AE86, successfully overtaking it heading into the second lap. Meanwhile, even further back, it looks like the Sigma Thruster continues to hold off Jomnas Jomnani and Halo. But not for much longer, as both the Golf Mark I and the Mikuyata successfully overtake the Sigma Thruster, leaving him in grave danger, as it looks like Tom the Cat managed to successfully overtake Rosie Miranto and is now trying to do the same thing to him. However, it doesn't look like the Sigma Thruster is gonna be as easy to overtake as Rosie Miranto was. And those two being left behind to battle against each other allows Jomnas Jomnani and Halo to break free of the cock block. But while they are now building their gap, it looks like Terra has been overtaken back by Fancy Wreck. Only for a moment though, because the Super Beast is easily able to outmaneuver the AE86. As for Roxy's side of things, nothing much changed. But despite me sounding negative, that's actually a positive, because it is allowing her to finally get some well-deserved spotlight. even if she now has to hold off against the Super Beast in order to keep that set spotlight. Regardless, Fancy Wreck has been overtaken by Terra, and it doesn't look like he is really able to fight back against the Super Beast. But as long as he doesn't run out of fuel, I think he's good. Meanwhile, in the back, Halo and Jomnas Jomnani are chilling while the Sigma Thruster is successfully managing to gap Tom the Cat. Well, he isn't really gapping the Qashqai, but he is also not losing time to it either. There really doesn't seem to be anything going on in the back of the grid given how spread apart everyone is. But I guess this was to be expected from a fuel economy event. Fancy Wreck is in the weird position where he's not gaining time, but he's also not losing time. And from what I saw, it looked like Terra closed in the gap between Roxy, but anyways, Dry Riser Inlet is being chased down by Vigilante SVT, with them now trying to defend their first place as they make their way to the third and final lap. Meanwhile, further back, my suspicion was correct, because it looks like Terra successfully closed in the gap between Roxy. Not only that, but he immediately finds an overtaking opportunity on this straightaway, taking the podium spot away from the Aventine. Being honest, it feels really good to be seeing these underrated competitors getting their time to shine. As for Fancy Wreck, it really looks like he is getting gapped by the two of them. And nothing really much changed for Halo's Mikuyata apart from the fact that he is even further away from Jomnas now. And if you're wondering, Tom the Cat is still fighting the Sigma Thruster and not really succeeding in the set fight, which is really not good in Tom the Cat's case. In the meantime, Jomnas Jomnani and Halo are just chilling, and I guess you can say so is Fancy Wreck due to being unable to fight back against the Super Beast or the Aventine. Even though the latter of which is not able to fight back against the Super Beast either, at least it is not losing as much time to it as the AE86. Once again, Fancy Wreck has kinda just ended up in this weird in-between the front of the grid and the back of the grid. But while we are on the topic of the back grid, let's see how things are going between the Sigma Thruster and Tom the Cat. And as it stands, the Megane still has a huge lead over the Qashqai. And unfortunately for Tom the Cat, it doesn't look like he is really gonna be able to catch back up to the Sigma Thruster. Fate really seems to be sealed here, as it doesn't look like anybody's going to be getting eliminated by running out of fuel yet. But while all of that is apparent in the back of the grid, in the front, it looks like Roxy really is not letting the Super Beast gap her. As for the top dogs of this race, it really looks like nothing changed. Vigilante is still in second place. But it doesn't matter anyways. What does matter is that neither of them are even close to running out of fuel, meaning that Dry Riser Inlet successfully earns themselves the first place, with Vigilante SVT following them right behind in second. And even though they are far away from the two, it doesn't look like Terra Hawkizard and Roxy Leyland are gonna be running out of fuel either, allowing Terra Hawkizard to earn himself the first podium spot in a while actually. And Roxy's Aventine is also safe in 4th place. Following them not long after in 5th place is Fancy Wreck. Despite being massively gapped by most of his competition in the race, Halo's Mikuyata places 6th, Jomnas Jomnani's in 7th place, and in 8th place, the Sigma Thruster is here to stay, meaning that Rosie Miranto and Tom the Cat are the first ones eliminated from the tournament. For the second heat, we have Godhead, Arcadely, Jakubek, Stolas Enthusiast, Cassidy J, Reagan, Ferrari GT Sport, Pin, Julie Canoto, and A-Lord GT. The race immediately starts off with what looks like everyone being pretty packed together. And that fact alone immediately allows Reagan and Ferrari to overtake everyone. It also looks like there has been a mass overtaking on Godhead's Land Cruiser, which is really unfortunate for her. Further in the front, it looks like everybody, and by everyone I mean Jakubek and Arcadely, are trying to hold off everybody that's behind them. While they are trying to do that, it looks like Ferrari and Reagan are already pulling away from literally everybody. I see they must have taken the concept of building an early gap a little too seriously. Either way, the cock block of Arcadely's doesn't really seem to be working, and as for Jakubek's, it doesn't really need to, given he's already made it past most of the pack anyway. And I say Arcadely's isn't really working because Julie Canotto made it past him. As for Jakubek, what I said still stands, because he is already building a gap over the Mazda Demio, which is holding all of these cars off at the same time. From what I can tell, it looks like Stolas Enthusiast tried to prevent A-Lord GT from overtaking him, but did not succeed in doing that. Not just that, but it looks like A-Lord GT makes it past Arcadely as well. Needless to say, Arcadely is gonna need to step up his blocking game if he doesn't want to get eliminated by positions, as both Cassidy J and Pin are trying to overtake him too. They successfully reach overtaking distance, and Cassidy J manages to successfully overtake. The same, however, cannot be said about Pin. Or Stolas Enthusiast for that matter, but that's mainly because he wasn't really able to catch up. Either way, in the front, it looks like Ferrari has taken the lead, as it also looks like Julie Canotto has managed to successfully overtake Reagan and is now trying to chase down the Crossbow R. While that is happening, Jakubek has been overtaken by A-Lord GT, who is now trying to catch up to Reagan as well. Either way, Pin tries to overtake Arcadely again, and he succeeds this time, leaving Stolas Enthusiast as the only person stuck behind the Mazda Demio now. But not to worry, as heading into the second lap, it looks like the FTO finds an overtaking opportunity on the said Demio. And just like that, Arcadely is in the danger of being eliminated, which is definitely something he has never experienced this early into a tournament. Even though he fought back against the FTO on the first corner, it really does not stop it from overtaking the Demio. As for Pin and Cassidy J, they dealt with one cock blocker, so now they have to deal with another one. This time it's Jakubek. Meanwhile, in the front of the grid, it looks like A-Lord GT is closing in the gap between Reagan's pits. However, overtaking the set pits is not something that A-Lord GT will be able to do yet. But that's entirely okay, as he still has time. Remember, we are only halfway through the race at the moment. Anyways, while he is trying to catch up to Reagan, it looks like Cassidy J successfully overtook Jakubek, while Pin, on the other hand, is not as lucky. And neither is Stolas Enthusiast, but that's mainly because he didn't really catch up to the SFR yet. From what I can tell, it looks like the Demio is not really able to keep up with the FTO. Meanwhile, after overtaking the SFR, Cassidy J is now using this opportunity to pull away from it. Especially considering that, like I said in the competitor introductions, Jakubek's car is not very fast. Meanwhile, in the front, what can I say? A-Lord GT is slowly but steadily catching up to Reagan. And as for the other fan favorites, it looks like Ferrari has been overtaken by Julie Canotto's RX-8. Not only that, but it looks like the RX-8 already has a huge gap over the Crossbow R. I'm impressed. And even though Ferrari lost the golden trophy, there's no guarantee that he'll lose the silver one as well heading into the final lap. Because like, look at this gap. I ain't seen a gap between two cars this big since Battle Machine. Anyways, even though Reagan doesn't really have a chance at catching up to Ferrari, that doesn't mean the race will be entirely boring for him, because he has A-Lord GT to battle against. Either way, it looks like Cassidy J has really succeeded a ton in building the said gap over Jakubek and Pin, the latter of which is still being cock-blocked by the SFR. You see what I'm thinking? even though you're in overtaking distance, there's no guarantee that you'll be able to overtake. But while that is happening in the back, in the front, it looks like A-Lord GT has reached Reagan's overtaking distance. And with a straightaway coming, you'd expect him to be able to overtake the pits, right? Wrong, because the 370Z was unable to find an overtaking opportunity. Meaning that as long as Reagan keeps this up, he won't lose the podium spot. Like I said earlier, you may be in overtaking distance, but that doesn't immediately guarantee an overtake. Cassidy J's still chilling. I don't really think there's anything that will happen that'll change that. But something that I'm surprised hasn't changed is that Pin is still behind Jakubek. Like, this must be some one unlucky Mitsubishi GTO. In the meantime, A-Lord GT is still stuck behind Reagan, while Ferrari GT Sport is just chilling in second due to not really being able to fight back against Julie Canotto's RX-8. As far as I know, Ferrari hasn't been gapped by a car this much since he was in Tuning Village. But I'm not really surprised that it happened given the massive spread in performance between these cars. But as it stands, not even picking a car for the lulz can save Julie Canotto from being surprisingly competitive. Meanwhile, Reagan is still successfully holding off A-Lord GT. Either way, it doesn't look like the RX-8 or the Crossbow R are gonna be running out of fuel yet. This means that Julie Canotto takes home the win, with Ferrari GT Sport in second. Looking back at the podium spot, A-Lord GT manages to pull a last-minute overtake on Reagan, claiming third place for himself. And with his fuel tank only being half empty, safe to say he isn't gonna be eliminated by fuel either. After that successful last-minute overtake, A-Lord GT takes the podium spot while Reagan has to settle for fourth. Not long after comes Cassidy J in 5th place. Jakubek still holding Pin off allows him to claim 6th place, and as a result, Pin only gets 7th place. And it looks like the last safe spot in 8th place goes to Stolus Enthusiast, with him successfully being able to build a gap over Archieli despite being much slower than the rest. And as a result, another two usually dominant competitors go down just like that. For the third heat, we have Enignot, Dog Hitting Hamster, Tendril, Marionette, Thunderstorm Gaming, Zetsu, Spike 1999, Vi, Agato, and Bastardizer. As soon as the race starts, the Renault Kangoo and the Auto Bianchi tried to hold back everyone. However, that didn't entirely work, as it looks like half of the grid has already overtaken them. More specifically, Zetsu, Thunderstorm Gaming, Marionette, and Agato. With Thunderstorm Gaming and Zetsu taking the top 2 spots for themselves. And while they are pulling away, Marionette and Agato are trying to do the exact same thing while everybody else is still being held off. Which, as you would expect from GT7 AI, the cock block doesn't last very long. With Tendril, Spike 1999, and Bastardizer trying to catch back up to the rest, completely leaving Vi behind as he is the last person to overtake Enignot and Dog Hitting Hamster. But even then, he easily makes it past the Renault Kangoo and the Auto Bianchi. While he is now trying to gain back the time he lost, it looks like Bastardizer is already closing in the gap between Tendril, reaching overtaking distance, but he isn't really able to overtake yet. But someone who did overtake him was Spike 1999, who is now trying to do the exact same overtaking maneuver on Marionette. In the front of the grid, it looks like Agato is trying to catch up to Thunderstorm Gaming, who himself is trying to catch up to Zetsu. As I guess the Zetsu Thunderstorm Gaming rivalry isn't just a one-tournament deal. The Scirocco reaches overtaking distance, but it isn't really able to overtake him yet. While Agato doesn't seem to be gaining time to them, but also he's not losing time either. Further back, the gap between Spike 1999 and Marionette has already been closed in. Not only that, but Bastardizer has successfully overtaken Tendril, with Vin now also chasing down the Peugeot 205. While that is happening, it looks like Bastardizer's Lexus has already closed in the gap between the Civic Type R and Suzuki Swift. He tries to overtake both of them on the final corner but fails. Heading into the second lap, it looks like Zetsu successfully pulled away from the Scirocco. However, Thunderstorm Gaming isn't giving up so easily, and neither is Agato, even though he is way further behind. And from what I can tell, it looks like the Scirocco somewhat succeeds in closing in the said gap. And I'm genuinely kinda surprised that the WRX isn't putting up much of a fight against the two. If anything, it only looks like they're slowly pulling away from Agato. Further back, it looks like Spike 1999 has successfully overtaken Marionette, and so did Bastardizer. Not only that, but Tendril has been overtaken by Vin, with him now trying to overtake Marionette as well. But before that, Bastardizer manages to make it past the Civic Type R. Or at least tries to, given Spike 1999 is actually putting up a fight on this section of the track. But unfortunately for Spike, it was not enough to prevent the RCF from overtaking. Meanwhile in the front, it looks like Agato is still chilling in third place as Thunderstorm Gaming successfully overtook Zetsu, claiming first place and successfully carrying on Terran's Spirit. As you can see, he is successfully able to fight against Zetsu's 4C. And even though Zetsu is in overtaking distance, he isn't really able to overtake him back. It's kinda funny looking at this now because Zetsu is currently being destroyed by the very drivetrain that he so heavily criticized. And I know that Agato is right behind them, but no progress has been made in terms of closing in the gap between either of them. But speaking of making progress, that's what Bastardizer seems to be doing. Same can be said for Vi and Spike 1999, even though they don't seem to be making as much progress in terms of catching up to them. And after he got overtaken by Vi, there's not really much notable in terms of Marionette's performance. As you can see, the S15 has successfully gapped him, meaning that he is Tendril's friend now in the back of the grid. As for Dog hitting Hamster, there's not much to say, being honest. The Auto Bianchi just seems to be really unable to keep up with its competition, and same can be said for Enignot in the Renault Kangoo, which I've gotta say is really unfortunate to see for these newcomer competitors. Just like the races before it, there's not really much happening in the back of the grid heading into the third and final lap. In the middle of the pack, it looks like Vi has successfully closed in the gap between Spike 1999, also reaching overtaking distance of the Civic but not really being able to overtake yet. In the meantime, Bastardizer successfully caught up to Agato and is now trying to overtake him. However, the WRX is not gonna let that happen so easily. And if you're wondering, no, Zetsu was not able to fight back against Thunderstorm Gaming. If anything, the Scirocco built a respectable lead over the 4C. Either way, it looks like the WRX succeeded in making sure the Lexus RCF does not overtake it. Not only that, but Agato manages to successfully reach Zetsu's overtaking distance. But like I said earlier, being in overtaking distance doesn't immediately guarantee an overtake, meaning he is still stuck behind the 4C because he wasn't really successful in overtaking it, while also trying to make sure that Bastardizer doesn't take the podium spot away from him. Through the uphill we go and into this straightaway, as Bastardizer once again tries to overtake Agato. And after a long-fought battle between them, it looks like Bastardizer not only overtakes Agato, but Zetsu as well. The only thing that stands between him and first place now is Thunderstorm Gaming's Scirocco. Because while all of that was happening between Bastardizer, Zetsu, and Agato, he was just busy building a gap over the three of them. But now the question is, will that be enough to prevent the Lexus from overtaking him? It looks like it, because even though Bastardizer immediately closes in the Scirocco's gap, it doesn't look like Thunderstorm Gaming is letting himself lose the first place like that. And with the said Scirocco not being anywhere close to running out of fuel, Thunderstorm Gaming successfully manages to win this race. With Bastardizer in second, Zetsu in third, Agato in fourth, Spike 1999 in fifth, Vi in sixth. Even though Marionette has been left behind by most of the competition this whole time, that does not stop him from clinging on to safety in 7th place. And neither does that fact prevent Tendril from clinging on to safety as well, as he claims 8th place for himself. With the 205 not even being close to running out, which means Enignot and Dog-Hitting Hamster are out of the tournament. For the fourth heat, we have Brett Fox, Xolstis, Chudmobile, Martso, Gregor, Green Turismo J, Oatmeal Skukoladi, Chotka, Kirby, and Freddy Fuel Bear. Off the start line we go, and it looks like Chudmobile immediately makes it through the pack and into the front of the grid. But she's not alone, as Kirby, Freddy Fuel Bear, Gregor, and Martso also follow her, with Gregor even overtaking her and claiming the first place. With that in mind, Chudmobile tries to hold off everyone that's behind her. Oh, and I guess Martso as well. But unfortunately for them, that does not stop Freddy Fuel Bear from overtaking them, as the C7 Corvette of his also immediately closes in the gap between Gregor, also successfully overtaking him and taking the first place. And it also looks like the Scirocco is unable to fight back against the Corvette. But that's fine, second place is still better than nothing. Either way, Chudmobile continues to try to hold off everyone along with Martso. And to some extent, it's working, because Green Turismo J, Chotka, and Kirby are still stuck behind the two of them, even though Martso's DS3 has been overtaken by Chotka. While that is happening, Oatmeal Skukoladi is trying to catch back up to the five of them, since I'm guessing that he has been cock-blocked by Brett Fox and Xolstis the most. Speaking of which, where are they? But enough about that, Oatmeal Skukoladi catches up to Kirby, who's trying to overtake Martso. And even further in the front of the pack, it looks like Green Turismo J and Chotka are trying to overtake Chudmobile. And it looks like Green Turismo J successfully overtakes her, with him now trying to close in the gap that Gregor built in the meantime. What can I say? This race so far is turning out to be really interesting. Chudmobile continues to hold off Chotka, while Martso continues to hold off Kirby and Oatmeal Skukoladi. However, things are not going so easy for dear old Martso, because Kirby nearly manages to overtake him. Man, holding off two cars at the same time really is hard work, but while that is happening, Chotka manages to successfully overtake Chudmobile, meaning that heading into the second lap, the Ria Memia RX-7 is now trying to catch back up to Green Turismo J. And speaking of Green Turismo J, from what I can tell, it looks like his Civic Type R successfully caught up to the Scirocco of Gregor's. But what he probably didn't expect from the Scirocco is just how good it would be at making sure it does not overtake. And that right there starts the fight for second place. And with her easily being able to close in the gap between the two of them, it looks like Chotka also joins the said fight. Following her is Kirby and Oatmeal Skukoladi, as they both successfully overtake Chudmobile's Mini and Martso's DS3, leaving them behind to battle for 7th place against each other. Anyways, in the front, it looks like Green Turismo J is already being chased down by Chotka. And even though Kirby and Oatmeal Skukoladi didn't catch up to them yet, still, slow and steady is better than fast and inconsistent. Meanwhile, further back, it looks like Martso is losing against Chudmobile in the battle for 7th place. The two European hatchbacks continue to battle against each other further back, as it looks like further in the front, Chotka finds an overtaking opportunity on Green Turismo J. However, the said opportunity was not very successful. As you can see, Green Turismo J is still on the podium spot. Not only that, but our former host Kirby successfully catches up to Chotka, successfully reaching overtaking distance. However, just like she was unable to overtake Green Turismo J, Kirby is unable to overtake her. But if you're wondering, yes, Gregor is still in 2nd place, as Green Turismo J's Civic was unable to overtake the Scirocco. And it's gonna be even more difficult for him now with Chotka and Kirby right on his tail. Kirby once again tries to overtake Chotka's RX-7, but the M2 competition does not succeed once again. And neither does Green Turismo J succeed in overtaking Gregor. While all of that is happening, it looks like Freddy Fuelbear has just been chilling in 1st place this entire time, building a huge lead like no other. Either way, heading into the final lap, it looks like Chotka successfully overtook Green Turismo J, and so did Kirby. In the meantime, Oatmeal Scucolati has been struggling a bit in terms of catching up to those four. Either way, it looks like Chotka's podium spot was really short-lived, because not only did Green Turismo J overtake her back, but Kirby overtook her as well. Not only that, but it looks like the Civic has actually been overtaken by the M2 competition as well. Now the only thing standing between Kirby and 2nd place is Gregor's Scirocco, which has been successfully holding off him, Chotka and Green Turismo J this entire time. And that, in fact, does not change on this section of the track. It also looks like Green Turismo J overtook Kirby back, and Oatmeal Scucolati caught up to Chotka. But that podium spot is short-lived once again, because Kirby finds an overtaking opportunity on the Civic Type R. The Civic does put up a fight against the M2 competition, however, I don't think it'll be enough to stop it from being overtaken. And if you're wondering about the two European hatchbacks, Chudmobile is still in fact winning against Martso, and as for Xolstis and Brett Fox, they are so far behind that they're not even worth mentioning. Either way, what I said earlier was in fact true, because Green Turismo J has been overtaken by Kirby once again, successfully reaching overtaking distance of Gregor's Scirocco, and even nearly overtaking him too. Although the Scirocco is not letting itself get overtaken as easily. As you can see, it is neck and neck between the two cars. And while all of this is happening, Oatmeal Scucolati was unfortunately not able to overtake anyone. Freddy Fuelbear is so far ahead that I don't even think I need to show him crossing the finish line. We all obviously know he's in 1st place. Meanwhile, between the two of them, it looks like Kirby manages to successfully pull a last-minute overtake on Gregor, claiming 2nd place for himself. And out of these 5 competitors in the fight for 2nd place, it looks like the one who comes out on top is Kirby, placing 2nd, while Gregor's 3rd, Green Turismo J's 4th, Chotka's 5th, Oatmeal Scucolati's 6th, Chudmobile's 7th, and Martso's 8th. And as a result of all of this, Brett Fox and Xolstis both get eliminated early for the first time ever. And that's about it for round 1. So far, this tournament is turning out to be a really interesting one. So if you enjoyed it, which I know you did, like the video, and maybe even consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in round 2.